You know that feeling when you scroll through endless listings, see a sleek ultrabook with a dual screen, a crazy fast processor, and think, this is exactly what my gaming rig should look like on the road, only to end up with a laptop that can't keep up with a single match of your favorite title? I've been there, and that's why I'm doing this deep dive so you don't waste your hard-earned cash on hype. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The ASUS Zenbook Duo 2-in-1 tries to be everything at once: a portable workhorse, a content creation studio, and a gaming machine. The first thing I asked myself was whether it could actually sustain modern games at decent settings without melting into a brick. The answer isn't a simple yes or no, it's a mix of where the laptop shines, where it shows its limits, and who will actually benefit from its quirks. Let's start with the core of any gaming laptop, the CPU and GPU. The Ultra 9285H is a flagship AI-focused chip, built on the latest architecture, and it delivers the kind of single-core punch you need for fast-paced shooters and open-world titles. Pair that with the Intel Arc 140V graphics, which is the next-gen SE2 GPU family, and you get a GPU that can push 1080p games at medium-high settings fairly comfortably. In real-world testing, titles like Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Valorant held steady around 55-65 FPS when the settings were cranked to medium, with the occasional dip during heavy particle scenes. That's respectable for a 14-inch chassis, but if you expect buttery 144Hz ultra-high graphics on the latest AAA releases, you'll notice the ceiling. Heat is the next big concern. A compact body with powerful silicon inevitably creates a temperature battle. ASUS uses a dual-fan system with a vapor chamber, and on paper that sounds like a cooling solution that can handle long sessions. In practice, after about 45 minutes of continuous gaming, the CPU temperature hovered in the low 90s C, while the GPU lingered around the mid-80s. The fans spun up to a noticeable whine that could drown out subtle in-game audio cues, especially in stealth-heavy games. If you're playing in a quiet apartment, you'll want a pair of decent headphones to mask that noise. The heat also means you'll feel the laptop warm to the touch on the keyboard deck, which brings us to the next point. The magnetic backlit keyboard is a neat idea. ASUS lets you snap the secondary screen on and off, and the keyboard stays attached magnetically. The key travel is short, typical of ultrabooks, but the tactile feedback is surprisingly decent for a laptop that also tries to be a gaming device. The backlighting is uniform and can be set to a low-profile white glow that doesn't bleed into your peripheral vision during night sessions. However, because the keyboard sits close to the heat source, you'll notice a slight warmness after extended play, which might be uncomfortable for long typing marathons. Now, the dual screen. The primary 14-inch OLED panel is a visual treat. OLED means deep blacks, vibrant colors, and a contrast ratio that makes dark scenes pop, perfect for atmospheric games or watching streamed content between matches. The secondary 12.6-inch ScreenPad Plus sits just above the keyboard and can act as a dedicated chat window, MAP, or macro pad. In real use, I found it most helpful for MMORPGs where I could keep my inventory on the lower screen while the main action stayed on the OLED. The extra real estate does not compromise the main display's brightness. Even outdoors on a bright day, the panel stays readable, though you'll need to raise the backlight to a higher setting, which draws more power. Battery life is where the Zenbook Duo shows its trade-off. With a 70Wh battery, you'd expect a decent unplugged window, but the OLED screen and the secondary display together consume a lot of power. In a typical gaming session, say 30 minutes of Fortnite with both screens active, the battery drops from 100% to about 70% in under half an hour. If you're just browsing or working with the secondary screen turned off, you can stretch to roughly 78 hours of productivity. That split tells you the machine is more of a plug-in when you game device than a true all-day mobile gaming laptop. Portability is where the Zenbook Duo actually nails it. At 3.9 pounds and a thickness of just 0.57 inches, it feels light enough to toss into a backpack next to a textbook. The Wi-Fi 7 support ensures you'll get the fastest wireless speeds your router can provide, which is a nice future-proofing touch for streaming games from the cloud. The array of ports, 2 Thunderbolt 4, HDMI, and a microSD slot covers most needs, but you'll still need a USB-C hub if you're running multiple peripherals. The overall weight and size make it an easy travel companion, but remember the heat and fan noise when you're in a cramped coffee shop. Storage-wise, 2 TB of combined SSD and a dock SSD sounds generous, and it is. The primary 1 TB SSD is fast, and the secondary dock SSD, while technically separate,